Oh, by the way, are you following the Mica Miller case? Anybody who watches my channel? Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, honestly. Cops are going to update today, so I hope they've got some actual evidence that this was indeed self-inflicted, but what do I know? Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning, the 8th of May, and what you heard in the intro there was the final words from my video yesterday relating to Mica Miller, who was found deceased in Lumberton in North Carolina, and the medical examiner ruled that she'd taken her own life via a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And I said, well, I hope that the cops have got some really good evidence, because her estranged husband, well, not a nice man. And they did. They absolutely did. They were able to track her on numerous surveillance cameras. She was alone the whole time. The absolutely heartbreaking 911 call heard Mica just very calm, very matter of fact. And that's not unusual in these kinds of cases where someone has decided, they've made peace with their decision, and they've decided that this is their final moments, and they're very calm about it. They might be sad, but they're at peace with their decision. Nowhere does she sound under duress. And this case, like many others that make it big on social media, they teach us some lessons. And this lesson is twofold, because what I'm seeing is a few comments like this. She chose to take her own life. She's the only one responsible for her actions that caused her death. She should have left. She took the easy, cowardly way out. It's on her. Listen, there's nothing cowardly about making a decision to end one's own life. It's probably amongst the bravest of decisions anybody can make. You're entitled to your opinion, but be kind. Be kind, because you never know when this type of tragedy will affect you and your family. Because people hide behind smiles. They hide their pain. And in Mica's case, she was under a huge amount of stress. She felt, I would imagine, that she had absolutely no options left, nowhere to turn. We know Mica was on her own when she chose to take her own life, and it was a choice. All right, she didn't have to do it right there, right then, with that weapon, in that location. That was her choice. But the mental state was not her choice. The mental state that gave her the bravery to do that, that's not her choice, in my opinion. We know that the husband, the estranged husband, wasn't anywhere close to where she was in those final moments. We know absolutely that it wasn't him who actually did it, who was actually there, who forced her to make a 911 call, who held that weapon to her head, forced her hand onto the trigger, so only her prints would be there. No, because North Carolina investigated, observed John Paul Miller's vehicle travelling on Highway 17 in Horry County, South Carolina, around the time of Mica's death on April the 27th. And this comes from the Robeson County Sheriff. So alongside all of the surveillance videos that they released and the 911 call was this, and this was John Paul Miller's vehicle. Lots of people rightly are defending Mica. In my opinion, why wouldn't you see some at least sympathy, if not empathy? If you can't empathise, if you can't do kind, do nothing. Keep your mouth shut, because not only opinions like she was cowardly affect the loved ones that she left behind, but also anyone else who's out there watching this, who is in a similar situation or who feels they absolutely have nowhere to turn. What I'd say to those people is, if that's your choice, that's fine. But do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. I thought this was an interesting post, and this is why Mica Miller is dead. It's this mentality from people that put her in the grave. 18 people reached out to help, and her husband used it to embarrass her in front of thousands. She filed for divorce to get away. The courts dismissed it. She called the cops saying her tyres were slashed. The law dismissed it. She told people she was being followed. She told people she was being tracked, and they found a tracker on her car. She told people he was hurting her. Nobody stepped in. Her husband preached message after message embarrassing her, and thousands of people continued to give financially and support. Thousands of people laughed, cheered and applauded this man as they celebrated becoming the best church in Myrtle Beach 4 years in a row. One person even gave him a private jet, all while he was having an affair, messaging waitresses and mentally beating his wife until she was dead. She cried for help over and over, but no one listened. Coward? No. The only cowards in this case were the men afraid of the appointed one. The only cowards were the people who sat in that pew and kept silent. The only cowards were everyone inside that building who allowed this man to stand on that stage and publicly humiliate his wife. I'm praying for a hot wife who loves Jesus while wearing his wedding ring. The only cowards are the people of Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, that's this person's opinion, but I would say to anybody, this isn't just Mica. This happens to thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the world every single year. This very thing happened to my family. Not the same circumstances, but the same tragic outcome. So I know what I'm talking about here. Not as a professional, not as a psychologist, as a human being. Do kind. And if you can't do kind, say nothing. Keep your mouth shut. Now, I'm not saying that every single person who belongs to the Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach is to blame for this, but certainly people who supported him openly or even just continuing to support his religious efforts. Perhaps you need to just take a look at your priorities. A beautiful soul gone far, far too soon. Is John Paul Miller responsible for this? Yeah, but not in the way that we all assumed. Because of all the horrible things that were stacking up against him, it was in many people's minds obvious that he did it. He didn't do it though. He didn't physically do it. She had a choice to use that weapon in that location on that day. But in my opinion, she thought she had absolutely nowhere to turn. And again, I will say, if you feel like this, if you're in a situation where you absolutely cannot see another moment, please reach out. But if you can't reach out, you don't want to reach out, you've made that decision. Just one thing. Do it tomorrow. But what does this case give us? What does it teach us, apart from be kind and don't call people who take their own lives cowards? That's one thing. The second thing is about the assumptions that social media make. We all make assumptions, we absolutely do. But making open accusations when you don't know the full story. We had absolutely no idea that the cops had all of that intel, all of that surveillance. We had no idea until they released it. So it was easy to make assumptions, but make this assumption your go-to response. Let's assume in any case, whether it's a missing person, whether it's a death investigation, make it your assumption, first and foremost, that law enforcement knows way more than any of us do. Make that your priority. Let's consider the Sebastian Rogers case just as one example. Just as one example. The boy who was pictured, the Sebastian lookalike, absolutely Sebastian's doppelganger. But it's not. It was not Sebastian. And yesterday, the cops came out and said, look, we know who this person is. We have located this person. So it wasn't AI. It wasn't photoshopped. This was an actual person and an actual family. These pics are of my son Josiah. not the missing boy, Sebastian Rogers. And that's me in the pink shirt. So this is his mother speaking. Please remove all posts and pics of my son and me off Facebook, please. I pray you do find your son safely. Well, I'm sorry, but the genie's out of the bottle. Although I agree with her sentiment, there's absolutely no way Josiah's image and her can be wiped away. The internet's forever. It's just been shared thousands upon thousands and thousands of times across a wide range of platforms. There's no way that genie can get forced back in the bottle. But yet again, let me just say one more time. If you have a sighting, whether it's Sebastian or whether it's someone else who's missing, yes, snap a photo if it's safe to do so, but send it to the appropriate authorities. Send it to law enforcement. Don't post it online. This is just one reason why not. But it could have very, very sinister outcomes for people who are genuinely kidnapped or who have run away and do not want to be found. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Noodle, come on.